Hey everybody, welcome to episode 154 of the Bonehead podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. And jingle. Welcome back. I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood-Tithe Ben BT. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing pretty well, thanks. Doing very good. Recovered over, a bit of a Christmas break, and we haven't really done too much on the streams, since it's been a proper recovery
That's good.
month, hasn't it?
It does help. It does help, I found.
Energy's back.
And we are joined, as ever, by TO extraordinaire and connoisseur of wands, the Highlander himself, Ian Triple Pound Triplo Trips. How you doing?
I'm doing very well because I haven't rolled a one for several weeks.
It's quite a nice feeling, isn't it?
Apart from for your microphone.
Yes.
We've had Windows up. I'm going to blame Windows updates for all of this. Like we've had a good half an hour sesh of trying to get everybody's tech working. OBS kept crashing on my end as well. I'm like, this is just. It felt very retro, and but Ben is right. Like sometimes having a bit of a rest and rejuvenation. I did think of you though, Ben, because I was talking to some guys at work, and I was like, it turns off that having 3 additional days off just really helps.
Yes. Yes.
Just like at the end of the year, because everyone's always jazzed up for New Year, and I'm like, is that because we all have a minimum of 3 extra days off, generally speaking? And I'm like,
yeah, just that mandatory break just does reset everything.
And that's I think so important. I been retail for all my life. It's been very much a case of everywhere should be open on a Sunday. Like, what the hell is this? I need to go to the bank. The banks are closed. I mean, all banks are closed all the time now. So
all the time.
Yeah, that doesn't really matter. But I've now got old, and I'm to the point where I'm like, I like Christmas Day because the world stops. No one can do anything really, and I find that
no one's expecting anything.
Yeah.
So you just sort of can sleep in or do whatever is your family tradition. Unfortunately, my family were quite chilled and quite laid back, so we have a very effortless Christmas where it's just sort of start drinking whenever you want to and just don't do anything. And I really like that because I can properly relax.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to some of the productivity podcasts you like to ship around trips, and they were talking about how you have to factor in off time, how you actually genuinely factor up, because there's this mindset these days that everybody's has to be on, and you have to be capitalizing all your time all of the time. And I think having that enforced bit where you cannot do anything anyway, so you are forced to switch off, is so it's genuinely very rejuvenating.
It is, but it does feel like the wrong thing nowadays. It's maximize output and details. You almost have to diarize time off.
Yeah, and I think as we're all kind of planning and going into the new year, I think that has to be something that all of us on the podcast, and you guys listening as well, I think you've got to factor in off time. Like the thing is, if you've got a computer or you've got a car, you don't leave it running constantly. You have to let it cool down a bit, because at some point it's just going to melt. And the same is essentially true of human beings, I've found.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we are wrapping up this year. BT, do you remember what we're talking about on this episode?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about our predictions and hopes for next year in the world of Blood Bowl.
So, yep, we're going to do New Year, new Blood Bowl, what we're looking forward to in the hobby space, in the Games Workshop space. And just a quick reminder, I'll put in the link below. We're still accepting your votes for the Bonehead Awards, because that's what we're going to be picking up on next episode, so that we can collate those and go through and do that. But for this episode, we're looking towards the future. So let's go straight into it. All right, now before we kind of dive into what we want to happen, we're going to have a look and see what is happening when it comes to Games Workshop, because yesterday, as we're recording this, they did put the Spike magazine up for preview for the pre-order. The preview
for the pre-order.
That's it. Yeah.
The waiting period for the order.
I still don't know when you can actually buy these things.
I think you can buy them in a week, but when they arrive,
you can.
Okay.
order next Saturday, arrive 2 weeks after, but it doesn't tell you that.
It doesn't anymore, does it?
That's so baffling.
I don't know if
Okay.
I've missed this. I've missed like the whole thing where they stretch the window and I don't know. But anyway, right, we've got the Spike Almanac coming. We've got 5-star player. I was about to say new star player models. We've got Anki Panky, Guffle Pussmore, Jeremiah Cool, Rashnak Backstabber, and Rowana Forestfoot. So Rowana is the deer one from the Gnomes. We've got the Stab Lad from the Chaos Dwarves, and then we've got Jeremiah Cool, the Dark Elf. We've got Guffle Pussmore, the Nurgle player, and you've got Anki Panky, the Saurus, whose rules will all be obviously in the package as well, but as part of the oh dear, Trips, your name says Miltonio Banderas. I will fix that in a moment. It's all going to be in the almanac. So of these star players, any of them you think are going to be like super important?
I think all of these ones are a little bit niche, to be honest. Anki Panky probably is going to see the most play out of all of them. Just because the teams that he fits into can kind of take an expensive one-star guy.
You mean Amazons?
Exactly, yeah.
I think
the rest.
I think Rashnak will be played a bit, but I think that's people playing hobgoblins rather than chuffs.
Yes, I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think you really need him on a Chorf team.
No, I don't think that's what's missing. The ability to stab stuff is definitely not something that's missing for the Chorf team.
Yeah.
The ability to survive trying to stab stuff. I didn't think Rowana was all that bad, but I mean, compared to like when it comes to running a gnome or a halfling team, you want a heavy hitter and maybe a utility player. Like that's always kind of how it's been, and it's probably the best way to do it. And old Roachbait is probably the best utility piece available, and is cheap as, and you've still got the money then to take a big hitter. So I don't think Rowanna's all that popular. Plus you've got old Tackle Ram, Rumblo Sheepskin, who's just kind of better because you get that. It's just better. So it's kind of like,
yeah, she really competes in that same space as Rumbelow, who just does the job.
I would argue this is a nicer model.
Yeah, I agree.
So
it's less brainy.
Yeah. I don't mind picking this one up and using them as Rumbelow, but I don't think any of these are going to be like because Trips and I were talking before the recording, sort of saying this is going to be, if someone's going all in on all this stuff from Forge World and the Almanac, it's going to be like 180 quid or something. But it was very much along the lines of, are any of these star players ubiquitous and also not provided? So Anki Panky, great model, but Brute Fund's already released 2. So
yeah, that's true.
So as far as models go, you're kind of covered. And I just don't think Guffle Pussmore is going to be taken unless it's a bit of a meme. And probably the same for Jeremiah Cool.
Yeah. They're great models. If you want to flex some cash, think of them as like rare foil cards in a TCG.
Yeah, it's a bit of
you
a
can
treat.
just run them as bloaters or blitzers or something.
I think they're a treat purchase. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is interesting. But the Almanac, I mean, we saw some leaks about it the other week as well, where you've got the star player, the new star player rules. So those guys listed, plus you're going to have Swiftbine, Glimmershard, and Maple Highgrove, who we've seen the leaks for from this book. And you've got the gnomes, the vampires, and the Chaos Dwarfs spikes basically in there, and apparently 10 pages of Chaos Cup rules. So like a special league bit. Don't know whether it said it in this article or whether it was just spoiled on the Blood Bowl community, but that is apparently what's coming in this. So how do we feel about the Almanac, guys?
I quite like the almanacs. I don't buy the Spike magazine, so it's nice to have them all in one place. I do like flicking through them. Yeah, I think they're nice. I think it's just nice as like a little yearly thing.
Exactly the same. I'd rather have one big almanac with a hard cover than all the spikes and lose all them. And you get a little bit extra in the almanacs as well. So
yeah, I like that. I like the way they put extra stuff in. Obviously, I get the spikes, and I did get the old White Dwarf as well.
Nice
with the quality. Like I went and got back, and there's your Necromunda game, Trips.
Nice.
Yeah,
so retro
from 1995 or something. Yeah, I mean, actually? Yeah, I think so. I genuinely think
that does predate me.
Yeah, let's find out. November. I don't know when this was actually. It doesn't say. That's how old it is. It's before we used to have to write down what year it was. It's got a copyright for 1995. I feel like that's when Necromunda first came out. So
that's horrific.
it's good times. good times. Best Games Workshop release of all time. I'm a big fan of Blood Bowl, but that box was wicked. But anyway, let's talk about some Blood Bowl. So yeah, Spike Magazine's coming. Let's hope that it brings a ton of new releases for Blood Bowl. And that, I think, leads us quite nicely on to our question list for today, which I may have closed on my phone. No, I haven't. Fantastic. All right, so we've got some wishes and predictions kind of thing. We're going to be thinking, what would we want out of this year and what's going on? So the first one we're going to talk about is one reasonable wish from Games Workshop, and we're going to start with everybody's favorite capitalist, Blood Tithe.
A reasonable wish.
You corporate
a rules
shill.
a rules update, I think.
A reasonable wish is a rules update. Do you want to see like a full-on box? Do you want to see just?
I would like to see a new edition. I think that could come next year. I think that's pretty reasonable. The main thing is I don't think the rules are bad, but there's a lot of FAQ. And
it's been
I think being
4
able to
years.
Exactly, yeah, and to just collate everything, freshen things up a bit, maybe introduce a new team or two. I think that would be pretty reasonable. I
think that's reasonable. It's an excellent one as well. I mean, like, just get rid of wildly inaccurate, and I think we're probably
exactly that's the big thing.
Maybe prayers to Nuffle as well. As I was on One World One Blood Bowl yesterday, and that was one of the things that was raised. It's just like a case of like, why is this here?
Sure.
Like, we don't even use it on Monday Night Blood Bowl, do we, guys? Like, we got rid of that really quickly. Yeah, Ben, that's very reasonable. What about you, Trips?
Along a similar line, mine was that they actually stuck to the schedules they were going to with rule sets. So, an updated FAQ in November as per the 6 monthly update would be nice.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that. That's right. We delayed a couple of pods because we were like, oh, we'll wait because the FAQ's due. So we'll wait so we can talk about the FAQ. And it's now coming up to the May FAQ. I mean, is that a tell?
Well, I don't think it stopped them before. I'm pretty sure they've dropped stuff just before a new edition. Didn't they have an entire team dropped before the new edition?
Yeah.
3 actually, but yeah.
Yeah. So
they dropped Snotlings, and then they did the Underworld and OWA drop.
Yeah.
And
I think
then
they did it in 40k where they released a codex like a month before the new edition.
Ooh, I'm happy to say that like the 40k team seems to be a different team to the specialist game stuff. Because that's just the scheduling of that. It must be awful for the guys who are actually working to do it, to bring the product out, because they're like, this is going to land now, and it's going to be 6 weeks before the new edition, and that's going to be, not ideal. So, Trips, is that your reasonable wish? Is just for them to stick
to my reasonable wish, just to stick to the thing that they said they were going to do.
All right, that's not bad. Mine is very much along the similar lines to that, which is my reasonable wish is that we have one new team this year. Like, I don't mean like high elves, unless they change them enough. So I would say like what they did with vampires made vampires essentially a new team, because you've got more positionals. You've got, well, at that point Bloodlust was different. Like that, it felt like a new team. It felt like a reskin, right? So I'm talking like either a new team or a big fluff buff for a team. And I just one team is reasonable. Obviously I'd like it to be squigs, but if they bring back high elves or tomb kings and make them, just juice them up a bit in the way of flavor, it's interesting, because neither of those teams really need much change for them to be functional. But the thing is, right, let's say they release high elves in, where are we now, April or something. That tends to be like their sweet spring spot, and they don't really change anything from the Teams of Legend. I just don't think that's going to be very exciting. I think it's going to be like, oh, cool, now there are models from Games Workshop for the high elf team, as opposed to like, oh, vampires, what did they do? Oh, Chorfs, what did they do? I mean, Chorfs got a nerf, but there's a new positional. There's 2 new positionals. Like, things got changed, and it felt like a new team, because there's going to be people out there that are like, I miss the old Chorfs. I'm like, okay, well, then in that case, it's different enough that these are new Chorfs. Like, same with Amazons. Less so with Norse. Like, they got the pig, and they got drunkard, but it didn't feel like massive departure, did it, Trips, with the Norse ones? But
no, it was a tweak But
Yeah.
well, I mean, the beer ball was quite a big change, but not nearly as controversial now as it was at the time.
No. I like what they've done with all the teams. So yeah, just something new, something spicy, just something to get the interest up for people. Because if they just go, here's high elves, and they're exactly the same as high elves in Team of Legend, their models are gonna have to be really good to make any kind of impact, I think.
It's not really a product. You're just sort of doing something because it's expected. It's not exciting.
Yes.
It's very procedural, isn't it?
Tomb Kings, like, again, the third party models are just so good for Tomb Kings. So good for Tomb Kings.
I think Tomb Kings are pretty ripe for something to change with them, just because they're quite static. Like, you can quite easily manipulate them, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're really good where they are. But
yeah, you could put a really small value positional with Tomb Kings, and it could be potentially a lot of fun.
Yeah, really shake up the team.
Scarab. Or
Yeah,
a big guy. They could just go up. They could just give him a strength 6.
Like the proper Ushabti.
Yeah, that'd be wicked.
Yeah.
But the point is, I want something new, something new to happen. One team is that, like, we had that year where all we had was vampires, and you know what, vampires did really well. The models were great, the theme was good, the rules were brilliant fun. Like, that was excellent. Like, I'd like 3 or 4 of those a year, I suppose, but reasonable. I'll take one well executed new team. But hey, if you want to give me a new edition, fine with that too. So on to the less reasonable trips. You've been very, very cautious with your first one. Throw caution to the wind here. Games Workshop, unreasonable request.
I'd like them to release everything that's required for a team on the same day, including all of the star players.
I love how both of your wishes are just like, go back to how you were doing 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they crushed it with Norse, right? Norse came out
and
everything was there.
And then it's fallen apart since. And what you see is the star players that don't get released at the time, people just don't use them because they start playing with rosters without them, and then it just kills the interest in using those pieces.
Or they're so good that they go out, find different models for them, and then don't look back.
Yes.
I mean, we've had this problem. We had this problem with the Bull Centaurs. I couldn't get Bull Centaurs at launch, so I've not bothered. Like, luckily we got your Punga team, Ben, which is wicked. But like, I just haven't bothered because they weren't available. So it was like, I've got a team now. Like, I don't need it, and that's us, right? We love Blood Bowl. I'll buy anything for Blood Bowl, everything for Blood Bowl. I was like, do you know what? I just don't need it now, and it's a bit of a miss. So that is, I think, a very reasonable, unreasonable. I think it's just more of a big wish, really, than an unreasonable wish. What about you, BT?
So I actually had one before, but then thinking about it just for the podcast, it's probably more in the reasonable territory. And I was going to say the Slanesh team, Slaanesh each teams to like even out the Chaos Gods. But I think that's pretty reasonable, especially as Emperor's Children came out. Like, we could see that.
Oh yeah, we got Christmas Fulgrim, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. So I think my unreasonable one that I'm going to say, just because it's quite hot, is just completely and fundamentally change how star players work.
Oh,
Like, completely change it, because I don't like how it works where you've got like 4 that are really, really good and the rest are really awesome models, really cool characters, and will never ever get used. So, and it just seems really weird, like a really weird design space. Like, why would you keep designing stuff that you know from the get-go is just completely useless?
It's not going to be used.
Just,
are you thinking something along the lines of how the old CRP stuff used to work? Like, each team had a list of 6 star players that they had access to, which meant that there was, how many teams we got Blood Bowl? Maybe 30, right? So that means you can have 180 different stars, and almost all of them are going to be in a top 5 available stars for a team. Are you thinking more along those lines?
Possibly, or just even bigger than that. Like, just change that as more than just bringing a player along for a game. Like, there is some kind of things you have to do to make it work. Like, in leagues, like certain sponsorship routes you have to go down to try and get hold of these guys. Like, just change how you have access to putting them in a team, because I think as it stands right now, and I don't know if it's part of the way Blood Bowl is designed that you're limited by this, but you're never going to want certain things. So maybe it's just certain stars fit in certain teams. Maybe you completely change the sort of skills that these players have. It could be anything. I don't know enough. I haven't given enough thought into it to come up with a solution. But
I like that.
That's why it's unreasonable.
I like that. So we are going to take a very quick break, guys, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Ben, I was thinking, like, when it comes to the star player idea, I don't think, say unreasonable. I think everybody definitely flags up star players as needing something needs to change with them. I don't know whether reducing access to them makes star players. I think they all need a rebalancing. Like I
think star players are more unbalanced than the team tiers, because there are there are the mega stars who are great, and then there are a load of stars who, even if you said you can have that for free, you still wouldn't put it in your team.
Yeah, I think the stars this edition were targeted for league players, because historically, if you remember, like in the pre-times, inducements meant nothing to me. Like, I'm down 350k, I don't have a hope in hell. Like, that's how it used to be. Now it's like, I'm down, you're playing against them, they're like, I'm up 350k, that's going to be a problem because they're going to bring Morg. Like, there's that fear element. So I do think that it does even the playing field in league, but there's something about
that's what I mean. They're gonna bring Morg.
Yeah.
They're not gonna bring any of the others. If they have that much money, it's Morg and nothing else.
Yeah, there's an availability issue. Like, there's there's something to tweak there. I do think they did a good job making it so that league it balances the team and makes it risky. Like, it's miserable playing against a 1500 team when you're 1100, because you're like, this is going to be rubbish. But then it's nice that they evened the playing field so that the 1500 team is like, this is miserable, I'm playing against Morg and a team here. So, like, that's better. But star players for tournaments, I love the builds. I think it's really cool. But there are some auto picks and there are some what I would call omni picks that are just overpowered. And it just makes it, well, you're seeing it now. Star players getting banned. Like, we've got Megastar tax, you've got star player tax.
Pretty based. That's the camp I sit on. I'd rather have no one have any fun than 3 people have fun.
Cool. So, talking of being unreasonable, my unreasonable request from Games Workshop. Do you know, I was going to do something along the lines of what I did last year, which is like, I'd love for them to sponsor a big event or do a big event or make Blood Bowl a bit more of a spectator sport, have them invest in it. But I think just Games Workshop, this is not a big cash cow for them, so that investment's never going to be there, which is what I feel like we said this time last year. So my unreasonable request is for them to explore more of the design space. Like, there's a lot they could do with Blood Bowl that is not just the way it is. I love the way it is. I want more teams within that design space, but there's stuff outside of the design space that they can do. And I'm thinking, like, they can, like, bring in models for support staff, like specific types of coaches that you could hire that isn't a star player on the team, that gives you certain benefits, like more inducements and things, but with an element.
They have a lot of those though, don't they?
I mean more like, there's some stuff you can do. So I was thinking, like, you can have Noblar trappers. We're playing a board game with a board. Like, you can have some tokens. They can put mines on the pitch. You can do that. You could have, like, they did some good bits with terrain, but like, you've got there's elements there. You've got potential of like assistant coaches that do extra things. Like, you get 1 extra blitz per game, where you can do this. Just like open it up a little bit. I love Blood Bowl because what's happening is on the board, but I think a little bit of extra outside of it would be really cool to see them design, to see them playing.
So, sort of embrace the fact that it is 50% Warhammer. It's more than just the fantasy football side. It's the explosions and, you know, sci-fi fantasy, well, not sci-fi, but the fantasy like element of it, where you've got all of these like extra bits happening, this chaos, all this carnage.
That's just
very Warhammer.
There's just more they can do, and it could be done in a way that involves models. I guess my Death Zone is my favorite Blood Bowl release for this edition, because it was a book just full of like extra stuff you can do. I want more of that. Like, that's my unreasonable request, is that they do more stuff. And yes, I know that there's going to be the tryhards, the toxic elite, as they call them, over on the other podcasts, that will be like, this is not going anywhere near a tournament. And that's fine. We don't use wizards in tournaments, right? We don't use that stuff. But for the people who like to play Blood Bowl, like just play Blood Bowl, I think it's quite cool because it's just fun. It's like, you know, Ben, I know you're a big fan of just buying like a D&D source book just for all the rules you're never going to use. Like, do you know what? Sometimes there's fun you can do with it. That would be my unreasonable request. And part of that is like alternative team rosters. Like, come on. Like, just 2 rat ogres, no gutter runners. Yeah, like dwarfs, do something different. 4 troll slayers, stuff like that. Like, there's just and hilariously, this is all stuff that they really don't. All they need to do is write a book for. That would be really, really, really cool. And maybe that's just because of that. That's not what they want to do. But that would be my unreasonable request. Is just like more levels to the game that's optional, but it's just fun to think about and explore. That would be my unreasonable request from Games Workshop if they're not interested in paying me to be a full-time streamer of Blood Bowl events.
We can dream.
That would be my call. Right, next we got on the list, one wish from the third-party hobby world in general. Anyone got a good one for that one?
I do have a solid one for this.
Go.
More secret teams, please. Like when Brute funded the Squig team, phenomenal. As someone who loves the Secret League and thinks it's marvelous and is everything we want from it, being more Blood Bowl, just keep making them. Keep embrace it. Bring more out. Run secret tournaments. Expand it. Games Workshop aren't going to. Community can.
So that links in nicely. Milton did send us his opinions. He can't be here because he is inside a volcano. Hilariously factual this time. Some of the things we say about Milton may be exaggerated, but the Shiv King is inside a volcano at the moment. So a wish from third party world. Okay, I'd love a Sons of Stromfels flavored corn team in a Broody or Punga style. If you're not familiar with the Sons of Stromfels, it's the Shark People team from Fumble Secret League that Milton just identified with a dangerous amount and loved running. And he's like, I want that team done really well. And then it kind of links into what you were saying, Ben, about like more secret teams.
Mm-hmm. I remember the Sons of Stromfels it's when we were having the discussion about tilting in games. I always think of the Sons of Stromfels because playing that on Fumble against Milton was the most triggering experience of my entire life. It was just back to back killing every single one of my players on like the semi-final.
Mighty blow, block, claw, dead. Mighty blow, block, claw, frenzy, dead. Yeah.
Strength 5 can't do anything. Yeah.
It's a fun experience. That's a good pair there. What about you, Trips?
I was obviously feeling quite practical on this one because I think my one wish is because there is so much out there, and particularly if you have an STL horde, I think a library is an under exaggeration. I think a horde is probably better.
Yes, if you're the Smaug of STLs, yeah.
Yeah, I just wish everyone would use my manufactory because I think I've got STLs in at least 3 different places. And I can never find the damn files I want to find. And looking for stuff then reduces the printing stuff, which then reduces the playing stuff.
There's a worse angle there, which is you go through your My Manufactory library, find something that you're okay with printing, and then you, a couple of weeks later, go on your Gumroad or whatever, and you're like, this is much better. Now I either have to print it again or I don't miss out. That's a really fair one. My Manufactory needs a bit of work though, because it goes through spates where it just doesn't work, and I can only access my library through an incognito browser because the cache is just like having none of it. But that's a really solid one because there are some people moving over from Gumroad to My Manufactory, but then there's people moving away from My Manufactory. So Artisan Guild has got his own on his own website now because
Loot Studios are like that as well.
Yes, are they? No, I'm thinking of Reptilian Overlords. I think they're on My Manufactory as well. Then there's the Mantic Vault. Then there's Gumroad. Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. That's a reasonable
We need
one.
more monopolies in the hobby space.
That's kind of yeah. I think do you know what? Sharing of best practice is probably something that would be really, really, really cool. But it is pretty competitive environment, isn't it?
Yeah,
You see,
it's very new.
it doesn't,
Everyone's trying to be the main thing.
doesn't feel new anymore, though, does it?
Yeah, I suppose, but it's only really about 4 years it's been.
I suppose.
Not even that, like, popular. Yeah.
Ah, good times, good times. So, my wish from the third party one. Do you know they've done? There's a lot of cool stuff coming out for Blood Bowl at the moment. Like the world of Blood Bowl has slowed down, and I think it's interesting to see. Do you guys think that it slows down in direct correlation to Games Workshop, or is it just the vibe? Or is it just bloat? Because if you look at like the core STL, the STL guys are the biggest part of third party Blood Bowl at the moment, right? I don't know if that's unreasonable to say, but the new teams that come out, generally speaking, you've got a massive drive on STL. Most of them have gone to a release over the course of 2 or 3 months now. So that has literally slowed down. The teams that are ubiquitous, the releases that are ubiquitous have also sort of slowed down. Like you'll see Ugni, like they do some cool stuff, but they've gone from doing like teams that everyone likes to quite niche, like they did horror goblins, which is very cool, but it's a meme team. And I don't know if the market's so saturated now that people are either having to spend longer doing a standard team really, really, really well. Brute Fun would be a great example of this, where he spent a long time doing his elves, but his elves are top tier. And you've got the other way where you can go, okay, we're going to do this team again because we've already done a team like it, but we're going to memify it so that the audience is smaller, but it's something different and something special. So it feels like when it comes to like core releases in third party, the STL world is slowing down. I don't know what's going on with Kickstarter, but it feels like Kickstarter is dying. Like,
not really the platform for it anymore, is it?
It definitely doesn't feel like it.
I think it's hard to drop. I think it's hard to drop physical Kickstarter things in this world now.
Yeah,
because of the ubiquitousness of 3D printing teams.
And I personally, I think I've backed one Kickstarter this year, maybe 4 or 5. But you know, I'm looking at them now, and I'm like, that's going to arrive next September, and I'm like, this is like when you drop a movie trailer for a movie that comes out in a year and a half. It's like this means nothing to me now. Like, here's my £80. Maybe I'll see it in a couple of years if I live at the same address. I remember to change it. You actually send it. I'm in when it arrives, and you know, it's an interesting one. Like,
Got to watch out commenting on this because this is quite similar to my current lead time at Brush Ties. So.
Well,
apologies, folks. I am getting around to them.
My point is not that that is bad. My point is that that's where things are now. That the world is slowing down, and I don't know whether it is saturation of the Blood Bowl space. Like, if it comes to Blood Bowl cases, there's already like 4 good options. Like, there's some great options in there. There's 4 good options. If you want custom pitches, there's good options. If you want, you know, loot, good stuff to go with it, there's plenty of options. Like, it feels like from a buying point of view, the market's getting quite saturated, and I don't think that's bad. I think that's wicked, because we've got loads of new Blood Bowl players coming in, and quite frankly, like, whether you're new or old, like the Charlie Victor skill rings, they're fantastic. You still need them. Like, they're still great. So it's not like you need to create new products. It's just,
I just hope it means that these companies who are sculpting are getting enough work to stay in business, because I want them around.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with it, is all of third party, and this is my unreasonable request, not a resurgence, but a consistent survivability is what we want. Because what I don't want to see is a boom, which we've had, and then a bust, where everyone's got everything they need now. So these companies are like, yeah, we're going to invest, we're going to do this, we're going to get sculptors, we're going to do this, and then it kind of just goes away. So, like, Where Games is a really interesting example of this. Like, they're one of the few companies that only do resin Kickstarters now. And I don't think that, I wouldn't want to say that they're struggling, but they are having to face into the reality that it's a really skinny market. And if you look at some of the Kickstarters for Blood Bowl, they're small. They're small, which part of me, Ben, thinks is great, because Kickstarter started as a way for you to be like, I want to do this thing. This is the amount of money I need to do this thing because I want to do this thing. You raise the money because people support you, you do the thing, and then you move on. But Kickstarter's now turned into its own distribution system, right?
Yes. Although Where Games is coming to Patreon for STLs.
Yes, I did see that.
Oh, is it? Okay, so they are caving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting. Oh, well, the other thing was like, does STL space kill people who hand sculpt? And I just straight up don't think it does, because you can just hand sculpt and then scan it and sell the scan STL. Like,
That's incredibly true. Yeah.
like this is no longer a problem. Like, you're killing off the hand sculpted stuff. I was like, dude, I got scans of some old Games Workshop models, and they, you know, they're fine.
No, they're official models, Ben.
Well, they're on cults, you know. You come across them, you download them, and you're like, oh wow, this looks like it's a scan of it. This, you know, and it's like, you can do that now. Like, so there's that extra bit. Sure, there's probably a tech thing. My third party dream is that the market stays solid, and that we still get really cool stuff being created by people. Because I don't want to see this drop off. And my question to you on that, though, guys, is if we have a new edition, how much of an upsurge do you think we'll see into Blood Bowl?
Ooh, I don't know.
Because, like you
I think
said,
it depends how much has changed. If it's a tweak, then there'll be an uptick in probably returning players playing, and a few new. If there's a big change, there might be more new, but you might lose some of the more traditionalists.
I don't really think I've ever seen people leave. I feel like it must just be a curve, like the player base, because it only seems like it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, all the big tournaments are now having to change venues and things because they can't accommodate. Like, the UK bid for the World Cup fell through, I think, because the size couldn't. There couldn't be a venue big enough to actually hold it, but they wanted to hold it. So it's like, I don't know if it's a new edition would have that much of an influence in it, because it seems like it's just on a steady trajectory. I'm not sure.
I'm well on board with that. But I think you're right, Trips. It depends on how much the change is. I think the 2020 change was enough different that it kind of reset it. I think the 2020 edition's done a really good job throughout all the teams of just, this is Blood Bowl but different now. Like, this is a good remake. Like, this is as if they made like Star Wars episodes 7, 8, 9 but better than how they did make them, you know. Like, yeah. So that's my wish, is that the third party stuff continues to grow. We don't see a decline in it. Right, that goes on to, we're going to skip the next one and come back to it, but finally, what do we think we'll actually get from Games Workshop when it comes to this space? What do you actually think we're going to get next year? We're not going to do the whole like, what's your prediction going to be, but what do you think we'll actually get? We all talked about what we want. Ben wants a new edition. I just want a team. Trips just wants some kind of roadmap. Careful what you wish for. This 2024 was not the year for roadmaps. What do you think we're actually going to get this year?
I actually think the Teams of Legend will be finished next year. At least one of them. Okay, let's not predict too high. Okay. Well, yeah, what have we got? Yeah, Tomb Kings and High Elves. I think we'll actually get at least one of them. That seems such a low ball. Games Workshop have not given us much room to be predictive on it.
What do you reckon, Trips? What do you think we're actually going to get this year?
I think we're actually going to get one of the Teams of Legends. I think it'll be Tomb Kings. And I think we'll get a new team to go alongside that. So I think they will not complete Teams of Legend, but I think we will get two teams, but I don't see us getting a new box set.
I am similar to Trips. I think we'll get two teams. I expect we'll get two teams. Like, they did two teams this year. And I think I really like the format of Team of Legend update. Brand new team. I think, do you know what? That's wicked. That's the sweet spot. That leaves us wanting more, whether they go Tomb Kings or High Elves. We're going to be left going like, come on, like, let's go to the next one. If they were just like, boom, here we go, Toon Kings and High Elves, and that's it. Then obviously we talked about this the other episode, didn't we? We were like, well, what happens now? So I do like the way of mixing in a new team. Plus, I think it's a really cool way of introducing new stuff to Blood Bowl that I think really doesn't. I don't know. It's just a good lift. So I expect Games Workshop to do 2 teams this year, and I would like 1 new and 1 team of Legend. When it comes to the new edition, I mean, it's hilarious because there have been rumours of a new edition for over a year now. Because I went back and listened to our 2023 prediction episode, and we were talking about, there's rumours of a new edition. It's been 4 years. Like, this is, 2024. We had Blood Bowl 2016, Blood Bowl 2020, Blood Bowl, 2024, surely. And now, guys, we've got 1 day left in 2024. And it's not even a Sunday, so they can't spoil something because that's not how they work, surely. Although it's Monday, new Mini Monday, a new Blood Bowl edition.
Could you imagine just dropping that?
Yeah, they'll drop it at 4 a.m. while I'm on holiday. 20 quid. 20 quid on
Did
that
you get
one.
on the plane?
Yeah. I would love to see a new edition because it's exciting. As to what needs to be changed, I don't think a huge amount actually needs to be changed. I think, like you said, Ben, I think the best thing for them to do is a bit of a clean up, a bit of a straighten out, and what is Games Workshop? So introduce a couple of things that, get rid of the pressed enough or get rid of wildly accurate, introduce 2 other new rules that no one really wants. And that's it with a couple of teams. Sweet. Like,
yeah, they've got a pretty good game on their hands, it turns out.
It does. It's lasted a while, and they've done well. They've not screwed it up yet, which is great. I did get asked that question yesterday. Like, are you always positive about everything? I was like, there's always a good angle to take. Like, nothing has been so bad that we've wanted to really rage about it yet. But we will see. Like, if that happens, we will rage. Yeah, because we won't be able to stop Ben. And I like that. I think that's very good. Okay, so that's Games Workshop. That's Blood Bowl. Right, let's talk about us. Hobby goals and things for 2025. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually quite excited for the new year, which is weird. I've never really been one of those people that's like, yeah, new year, new me nonsense. But actually, new year feels like a good point to start doing some stuff differently. I had a few extra days off because you had the Christmas break and stuff, and I'm feeling a little bit less rubbish. Libby's in a pretty stable place. Tiff's in a good place as well. Like, I'm actually really thinking this year could be a return to winning, because I feel like 2024 was very much a treading water for me personally, where I was not remotely getting what I wanted to do or what I thought I could do, and now thanks to you guys a lot, I've come to terms with, okay, cool. Actually, I've got 24 hours in the day. I don't get to do 24 things in the day. I have to work. I have to Libby. I've got a routine now. Actually, you know what? I'm going to get 9 hours a week to do stuff. So stop planning for 18 and then spending 9 hours a week just sad that you don't know what to do because you've got too much to do. Actually, you've got 9 hours. Plan 6 hours worth of stuff and get 6 hours actually done. So I said this to Tiff the other night. I sat there and I was like, I'm sitting here for 3 hours trying to figure out what I want to print. I was like, what I could have done is not bother printing anything and just spend an hour of that painting. Then I would have done an hour of painting. I was like, that's like my life ethos, I think, for the next bit. Because my hobby goals are to focus on the channel again. Like, I want to plan my life better, plan my time better, so that I love making the content. I love making the videos. So that's going to be my hobby goal, is actually just aim smarter. Like, do less is my hobby goal, but actually do it, as opposed to plan too much. That's not a specific hobby goal, but when I feel like when I'm actually zoned in, when I clear a space for an hour, I actually get a lot done. Like, even with the OPR stuff, like, which I've been really enjoying and I want to carry on doing, but like I painted like a bunch of stuff because I planned for it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to spend some time tonight painting. I'm not going to spend some time thinking about what to paint, which is, I think, the biggest issue that I have, is I'm like, right, I've got an hour. What can I do? And then it takes me an hour to figure out what the hell I want to do, and it's too late. Have a clearer plan is my My hobby goal. Do you guys have anything good?
You can go first, Trips.
So I have never painted an army because I am pretty much skirmish game only. But our flitting into OPR has drawn me not only into that army games can be fun and that fantasy games can be fun as well. So I've even gone away from I've never played a fantasy army game. So I would like to get my first army painted and on the board this year. And it's good. It's clearly I've spread the goal into this year by getting the big things printed into this side of the year start.
Nothing wrong with setting yourself up for success. Is this the Dark Elves?
This would be the Dark Elves with
Yes.
things
That is such a cool model.
So
I love
yes,
that.
I would like to get my Dark Elf. I would like to get a Dark Elf army painted and on the board, and see if they can survive more than 2 turns.
Well, it's a 4-turn game. You'll be right. How about you, BT? You live in an interesting world of hobby where
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's work.
I don't really know what you do to get away from hobby.
I don't. Yeah, it kind of touches on that. There's a couple of things. So the main thing really is this is like a more of a work-focused oriented one, but recently in December, I really battered myself and think I did a lot of damage on meeting a deadline that I kind of had to meet. And it was very, very extensive. I talked about it a little bit on the stream I did recently. But it was just a lot and it was really unhealthy. And my goal for this year is to not let that happen again.
Yep.
Like plan things better, orient time, communicate with people if it's not going to be there, and just like don't get stressed about stuff because it's not good. So that's kind of like a healthy goal. But the other thing, the personal thing, is I want to enter a painting tournament.
Yes.
Just not like
Whoa!
That's cool.
Yeah, not a like best team thing at a Blood Bowl thing, but just one that is just painting. I want to at least enter. Like I don't expect to win. I don't expect to do anything, but I think the skills you learn from entering, I want to appreciate and use. So yeah, that's the main goal.
You've raised a brilliant point there, Ben, on the last bit. First of all, I think you'll do really well. But that, like, the process of doing stuff or starting stuff can be as much of a reward as actually finishing stuff in the first place. Like, one of Tiff's goals this year is to write a book. And so we've got her a laptop on the way so that she can spend some time doing it. And we've both been really clear about it. Like, you don't need to finish the book, but if actually spending a few hours a week in the space of, oh, I can do this, or just going through the process, that is in of itself enough of a reward. Like Ian Hanham and me and Craig, we did Red Wyvern Games. We used to write rules and write games and do all that kind of stuff. And we always were miserable because we were like, we've never finished a project. Like we've never really finished this. And Ian was great because apparently people named Ian are just wise, but he was like, it doesn't matter because actually if the fun bit is coming up with the ideas, planning it, brewing it up, and that's worth it anyway. Like
100%.
And that's, you know, when it comes to a painting competition, even if just like planning it, that's fun enough. Like going through it, you will learn stuff by doing it, and entering it is just wicked. And like there's a lot of stuff that, you know, it's floating around in Ben's space as well, where actually, you know what, the planning of it's fun enough, or doing it is fun enough, even if you don't end up with a final project, a final product. Like we've not done Monday Night Blood Bowl for the last month because we've all had a lot of stuff going on. So I've spent that time playing with the cameras, and I've not made a video. I've not done anything successful out of it. I've learned some stuff that I know that I can call back on and I can use for what, but that's what we said. Like, you know, we want to film some OPR things or do this because we'll learn some stuff to apply to Blood Bowl. And as you guys will see when we go live with Monday Night Blood Bowl again, you're going to see some of the stuff that I've learned that's going to make the streams look better, that's going to make them work better. And it's like, sometimes trying to achieve something gets in the way of getting stuff done, I think.
Yeah, it's that every fantasy story since Tolkien approach, isn't it? Where it's the journey, not the destination. It's the journey is the real event, the story, the impactful bit where all the growth comes from. So I think it's really important. I think it applies to real life.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's not a story. It's just a Wikipedia page.
It's just an event that happened. Yeah.
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 Any more goals 2025 for you guys, Ben? I feel like you've got a couple of important things happening this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Successfully get married. That would be good.
Whoop whoop.
Yes.
I
that's coming up.
meant the stag do, but yeah, okay, that too.
Yeah. Yeah. We are doing something with the podcast, which will be good fun. I think we're going to go see ice hockey. The trip is going to take us.
Yeah.
So, I'm well excited. Yeah. And then I've got a trip to Japan booked in now for November. So
That's awesome.
it'll be very exciting. Yep. And somehow fit a competition into that somewhere.
Don't
I think
overdo
Iron
it.
Skull is going to be the one because I get free entry with that because I'm helping run it. Supposedly.
Nepotism.
Helping run it, so I get yeah, exactly. I can enter the staff category at Seed Studios, which is stupid because that's going to be full of.
You're going to do a Milton here and win your own competition.
Yeah, that's because I'll just work as a judge. That'd be good. Yeah.
And also enter.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this one looks good.
How about you, Trips? Any other 2025 stuff you've got planned up?
Not particularly on the hobby side, just a bit more balance to everything. Clean through. Just realizing, similar to what you said earlier, Ben, that actually time off is good for the soul, good for the mind, and actually built that into life a little bit more. So try and achieve 80% and be happy with it, as opposed to fail at 250%.
Yeah, it's always honourable to shoot for 12 out of 10, but it's not always achievable. I've started doing this annoying thing that I think Tiff just gives me weird eyebrows every time I bring it up. I'm like, right, like think about tomorrow, Tiff. Like, okay, it sucks now that you're going to go to bed earlier, but you're investing in tomorrow. Like you're paying it forward, like making tomorrow a little bit easier for you, making tomorrow a little bit better for you, which I think is something I've got better at, having Libby. I mean, obviously you guys saved me from a couple of mental breakdowns the year prior, and it's all a lesson in stuff. I've got a couple of good bits from Milton. His hobby goal is to finish the Nurgle team, which I love, and he says, I wish that we have a wicked beachhead weekend and continue to make an engaging and interesting content. I couldn't mirror that anymore. We've got beachhead coming up in 6 weeks.
Oh my god!
I'm buzzing for it. I think it's going to be awesome. Doing 5 days of 11s. Get your tickets because we'd love to see you. It's barreling on. I've got my time off organised. It's not even January yet, and I've already had to move it once, but that's fine because there's 2 conferences I need to go to. So I'm having the week off after Beachhead and the Friday off before, so I can kind of do Beachhead nice and rested, and then have some time with the family to compensate for the fact that I'm away for a weekend. So that'll be really good. But my other goal is, my dream goal for this year is finding a way to either get to go to a cool Blood Bowl tournament. One of the things we're doing this year is running less events so that we've got more time to do other stuff. Hilariously, we're all looking at our calendars and we're like, right, February we've got Beachhead, March we've got Ben party, April we've got the other Ben party. You know, it's like we've got, like, that's the year. Like the first third of the year is like, oh, we've got no weekends or anything like that. But not having those extra tournaments in the middle means that actually later in the year I can look and I can spend my weekend chip and go and do something else. My absolute dream would be finding a very cool thing, you know, like something like Euroball, and streaming it. Whether that's remotely feasible or not, I don't know, but that's my dream goal for this year.
We could we could go to UKTC. I think I'm already in a team for that, but we could probably move things around.
Isn't UKTC in May? Oh no, that's NAFC. That's NAFC, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's NAFC. Hang on, I have the dates. I should probably shield this because
NAFC always tends to be like, NAFC is always like my birthday weekend.
Oh, is it?
it's like it's in May or something, so it's always the beginning of May, and I can never. Hilariously, May just seems too close to organise anything.
It's quite close, yeah. No, UKTC is the 29th to 31st. So yeah, 29th to 31st of August in Leeds. It's 30th, 31st for the 2-day tournament. There's an optional sevens event on the Friday night.
Interesting.
At Leeds University, yeah.
That could be cool. But that would be something I'd like to sort out this year. Oh, and also enjoy making the content, and I want to see if I can do a better job of engaging with other content creators and stuff this year. Where I've just had my head down, I've not been able to engage. It's just been running this year, so I feel bad that I've not been doing as much of that as I would have liked. So that's something I want to get better at next year as well, because there's a great Blood Bowl world out there, and it's getting really busy, and we're toning down the tournaments, so we've got the flexibility to do more stuff, whether it is, you know, film some Necromunda, film some OPR, or just explore creative stuff, or go and do some, attend some events, do some streaming. Just give ourselves the opportunity to be creative and have that flexibility of like, oh, we're not spent, like we're not in our overdraft already, in our emotional and physical overdraft. Like we can actually go, do you know what, why don't we do this project? And I have everyone go, oh yeah, that's cool, we'll do that, that'd be cool. That youthful exuberance. And obviously I'm loving Monday Night Blood Bowl, but with both of you guys, like, and when we bring in the others, like, I want to do a better job of planning ahead so that everyone is like clearer about availability and time, because I don't want to be like, even with the podcast, like the last month has been like, oh, can we do it Monday, can we do it this day? Actually, I want to be better at making sure that we're all planned in as we move ahead, just so that it takes away that cognitive friction, you know,
Yes,
where the same turtleneck every day, you never have to make a choice.
Right, Steve Jobs.
Groovy. Have I missed anything today, guys?
I think that's about it. Feeling pretty pumped for this new year.
I just find it hilarious that the goal is to do less but do more out of doing less, which is really odd. The trips
Achieve more.
Like, is that an element of trips wisdom, as chat call it?
Yeah. Do more by doing less.
Slow down to speed up. Oh, we're getting some. We need a little cliche counter. Actually, getting the fumble noises onto the stream is my first goal. For Monday Night Blood Bowl.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Okay, let's put that one in the do less part. That'll be fine.
Right, I think we'll wrap up there, guys. Trips, BT, thank you so much for jumping on. Sorry we ran a bit long today, but hopefully not too much is going on. I Ben, you've got some things to do. Trips probably got some work to do, but yeah, thank you very much for coming on.
I've got wedding invites to write. That's what I've got to do today.
You handwriting them? Just text.
Well, no. Okay, create, make, digitally map those things.
So yeah, I think because our wedding was such an interesting challenge of planning 3 and mucking it around with COVID and everything like that, I have no idea who was coming to the wedding in the end. Like Tiff was like, have you invited everyone? I was like, I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. I still felt bad. And the highlight was when my auntie son came, and Tiff and I both thought that they were like the other person's guest. They were at the venue, and I was like, who's that? And she was like, I don't know. Do you? I was like, oh. It was quite an interesting moment. So yes, Ben, make sure you know who's coming.
Yeah, that would be the plan.
I recommend a spreadsheet. Trips sitting there going, use Notion. Oh, Notion. Right, we're going to wrap up. Do let us know what your hobby goals are, though, because it's the good time for it. And I think I'm probably going to ask the ask in Discord on the 1st when we start looking at like the new year. But yeah, we're going to wrap up. Thank you very much for joining us. We will be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking.